Welcome to That's Why We're Friends.
The podcast where we laugh a lot, talk about real life, and hold on to faith through it all.
We're two friends navigating the oldish season of life and celebrating the kind of friendships that make it all a little easier.
So whether you're feeling overwhelmed, hopeful, or just need a laugh, this podcast is for you.
Pull up a chair and join the conversation. Hey, Kara.
Hey, Sarah.
How's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
It was good. Uneventful, which are usually good weekends.
Yeah.
I did have, yesterday, actually, I had a fun moment. I told you about it, but, where I went to the grocery store. And I was really proud of myself going into the grocery store because I've definitely felt like I was experiencing like a youngish moment. We talk about, we're oldish, we embrace that, and that's fine. But I was very aware that I was like, okay, I think this is youngish, because I was running in the grocery store to grab a couple of things. And I decided all I was going to take with me into the store was my keys to my car and my phone.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I could use the card on my phone, like, to pay.
Yeah.
I know it's like Apple Pay, but it's not like, is it Apple Pay?
It is.
It's just a card that's stored on your phone.
But it's still Apple Pay. You stored it under Apple Pay, right?
I don't know. So this is where I'm not youngish. I don't know how it works, but I know I have it, and I know I can do it, and I know how to do it.
Okay.
So I'm not doing myself any favors on the whole youngish thing. But I was going into the store, just got my keys, my phone, I'm light, I'm free, I'm youngish. And so my, reusable grocery bag. And so, all the things.
So you're also a little crunchy.
I can be.
Yeah.
I also can be really bad about having them in my car.
Same. Yeah.
And just not even and not forgetting, sometimes forgetting and sometimes just deciding, no, I'm not going to grab.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Sorry. But I used the bag. And so my youngish self went in, I grabbed my couple things and, did my Apple Pay at the register, and I'm walking out the door. And as soon as I hit the door, I didn't hit the door, first of all, but as soon as I got through the door, that would have been just brilliantly amazing. But that's not what happened. I got through the door, but immediately hit my mind of where's my cart? Did I leave the grocery cart at that checkout register? Did
you self-checkout?
No, I didn't. I went
to a human?
Yeah, I went to a human. But it was just this, panic, because I always, you bring the cart out and leave it at the little thing. And so I just had this panic of oh my gosh, I can't, I've never done that. And then I remembered with my green, grocery bag on my shoulder that I didn't use a cart because I just grabbed 3 things. And so I put them in the bag and then checked out and then left. And so I'm walking to my car and I was just laughing because in the span of, 15 minutes, I was like, oh, I'm so youngish. And then I was like, oh gosh, I'm so oldish because I didn't even remember that I didn't have a cart.
Yeah,
so.
that was like me with my phone a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just couldn't find the phone because it was under my arm.
So it was good. It just made me laugh. I just appreciate,
Right.
the humor in all of it. So
yeah, that's awesome. We're in the thick of football season, and we were in Waco this weekend, and I'm so excited. Waco got a new grocery store.
Ooh.
Yeah, they got a Natural Grocers, which is lovely. If you've never been in one, it's a small chain.
Okay.
But according to their bag, they've been around since the 50s. So we went in there, and it's like a Sprouts.
Okay.
That's what it feels like in there to me. The only thing is that they require reusable shopping bags.
Oh, it's like the Aldi situation.
Well, I've never been in an Aldi.
I've never been by myself. I have been with others who have tried to expose me, and it's just overwhelming. You have to have a quarter, I think, or you did back when I was to get a cart. So it's too much.
The lady was kind. She was like, since it's your first time in, I can give you one free bag. And, just be sure you bring it back with you, which I was like, yes, ma'am, I sure will. We had to buy another bag. It's just, to me, in Texas, we haven't had that in our stores.
No, we haven't.
It's hitting, though, because it's been in other states and they require you to bring your own bag or buy a bag. But it's beginning to infiltrate Texas. Yes. And I'm not sure that I'm totally for it. Yeah. But the grocery store I loved. Yay. It was great. Okay. I was so happy that we just had another option there because there aren't too many options for groceries in Waco.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
just put those bags in your car.
I know. Well, and
Train your brain.
we're going to keep them there, down there. And
I
so,
get it.
yeah, we've got our grocery bags now.
I get it.
Which actually we needed them. We used to have grocery bags that we would have down there in Waco because there's an amazing farmers market on Saturdays.
Nice.
But something happened at some point. I don't know where the bags ended up, but they're gone.
Yeah.
And so, because we went to the farmer's market too, and we got there and we started getting all these things. And I was like, oh my goodness, what do we do with all these things? We have no place to put them. And the people there, the farmers and the people who run the stands are better about having bags now. They used to not have them at all. They're getting better for sure about having them. So they were kind enough to give me, I collected a couple from, but then you're just holding them so carefully because they're so full. You're trying not to drop all the things out of them. So yeah.
Love it.
Anyway.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
For those who don't know, if you're watching, right now our podcast studio is here at your house.
Yes.
And so I drive over here a couple times a week, usually like to, go for a walk, or obviously we're doing all our podcast stuff. And there's something I've noticed in your neighborhood that, look, I'm 47 years old. I've lived a lot of life. I've driven in a lot of neighborhoods, and I'm experiencing something for the very first time. And so that's kind of cool, being oldish, getting to experience and learn about new things. But it's a phenomenon that I would say occurs once a month feels like a fair assessment. But it's a destroyed, and by destroyed, I mean completely obliterated mailbox area, whether it's in stone or whether it's on a post. It is just like it's a video game that you people play in this neighborhood, and you get all the points when you take out someone's entire mailbox setting. And so there was another one this morning, and we've talked about this before, that it is, I'm having a hard time now at this point understanding it. Maybe there is a game that's happening. I don't know if it's teenagers. I don't want to prejudge or stereotype who could be taking out the mailboxes, but it feels like there is an underground group playing this game that maybe y'all don't realize is happening to take out the mailboxes in your neighborhood. So just how can we help the people understand what's happening?
Well, so yes, it's not a game because I can assure you that all the people's insurance companies are not happy that it's happening.
Okay.
And you probably shouldn't make assumptions about the type of people that hit mailboxes.
Why? Okay, why shouldn't I assume? Tell us more. What do you know about the type of people that might be running over mailboxes?
One of us might have hit a mailbox.
What?
Might have obliterated a mailbox.
What?
But let's deflect for a minute. Let's go back to the poor mailbox situation this morning. That poor girl. I actually happened to drive up on the situation just after it had happened. And this sweet girl, teenage girl, I won't make any assumptions on what she was doing that made her hit a mailbox, but we could probably all figure it out.
Probably.
She not only ran over and obliterated a mailbox, she then proceeded to drive through the people's yard and hit a large green electrical box. And
so is that double points, you think? If
you
go over and hit something else?
And I mean, in video game world, you probably get an extra life.
I think so.
I think she
would need it.
I think the fact that her dad was coming up on the scene as I was leaving
she
probably
needed an extra life.
took away a life. He did not look very happy with the situation.
Oh, gosh.
But she really, and she was in a little car, like not an SUV, like a little car. I don't even know. Her car didn't look like it had that much damage. I have to assume that underneath or the side I couldn't see was completely destroyed. But yeah, it was crazy. But I think the issue in our neighborhood we have no sidewalks, and our mailboxes sit very close to the street. I mean, like right on the street.
Sure.
We have people park on the street, so I don't know if people...
Right on the street, but not actually on the street.
Not on the street.
So this isn't like Frogger.
That's right. This
is an oldish audience, so I can say. So they're,
Yeah.
to be clear, they're not in the street. They are in the grass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
now I do know that quite a few mailboxes have been hit after weekend parties at night. I do know some mailboxes have been hit by kids driving golf carts, which is always a thing. Okay. I also know that one time a mailbox was obliterated by someone, and it was really a complete accident.
Okay.
If you are driving and you turn out of your driveway and your phone falls in the floorboard and you think to yourself, as soon as I get going straight, I'm going to pick that up because it might be under your foot where the gas pedal is. And you bend over to pick it up and then you feel something. You feel something hit your car. And
something hit your car? Or your car hit something?
Okay, your car hit something.
Okay, just helping that people get a picture.
Sure.
Kara, not everybody can see it the way you can see it so clearly in your
I
mind.
can see it very clearly in my mind. And, you might think to yourself when you hear that noise that you just knocked your mirror off on a mailbox.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what thought went through my head when I heard that noise in my car.
Sure.
I thought I knocked my mirror off. And
Was that an accurate thought?
It was not.
No.
I looked up in my rearview mirror as I kept driving to realize I too had obliterated a mailbox. And so, and then I got out of my car to find out that my entire car was also obliterated in the front.
Oh,
and it was quite the thing. Like bent what's the thing called that connects your tires? Axle.
Oh, we're not going to do well right now. This is not going to be a good moment.
Axle. I think it's an axle.
Sure.
Connects your tires.
Great.
So
Love it.
Yeah, bent it. It was quite an ordeal, but that was truly just like, I wasn't drinking, as is the case with a lot of people who, it was mid-afternoon. I was leaving to get my kids at school. My phone truly fell under my foot, had not been touching my phone, was not on my phone. I just thought, I'm going to get that because it's under the gas pedal.
Right.
I need to get that. Instead of pulling over and getting it safely, I thought I could get it while I drove.
Yeah.
And I could not. Fortunately, it was a mailbox and not a person.
Well, yes, we'll receive
because in this neighborhood, too, with no sidewalks,
Yeah,
there are
lots of
people on the road walking a lot. So,
it could
but
have been a lot worse.
After that accident, goodness, my kids were in school, so that's probably been 12 or 14 years ago. It's been a while. Okay. I bought a cheap little temporary mailbox for the people whose mailbox I hit so they could still get their mailbox until their mailbox got rebuilt. And so what was funny was that for years, I was the person when someone's mailbox got hit, everyone knew to come to me to borrow that mailbox. It just stayed in my garage, and then everybody would come get it if they needed a mailbox.
So are you going to take it to the house for the one this morning?
So the last person that borrowed it never returned it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're hearing this person, you know who you are.
I actually don't think they live here anymore.
Okay. Well, if you bought a house here and found a random mailbox, you need to go find the house that is missing a mailbox and let them borrow it.
Oh my goodness. It is a situation. I mean, truly, I think it's lately, what's crazy, it's been more than once a month. I feel like it's been every other week.
Okay.
There's a mailbox down.
If there's any investigative journalists listening, I would like to know more information because I just want to know what's happening.
Well, and my daughter did actually hit a mailbox once too in the golf cart.
Okay.
So that was probably poor parenting, letting her go out in the golf cart because she was probably too young to be driving it. So I'm going to take the blame for that one too.
Okay.
2 mailboxes, my fault.
Wow.
But the other, 30 mailboxes, I had nothing to do with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot.
So still a mystery. We didn't really figure anything out, but we know more about you. And that's great because that's part of why we're here is to find out more about each other. And you know what? You probably made someone feel better today and feel seen because they have taken out a mailbox too. So good job.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only person that.
Yeah, the enemy likes to come in and isolate us and make us think, we're the only ones.
That's valid.
And so if the enemy's been working on anybody for taking out a mailbox, just
shame
and
guilt.
Yeah, you are not alone.
Yeah.
There's no condemnation.
That's right.
There could be some fines or a ticket, but no condemnation.
Do you think people get tickets for hitting a mailbox?
I wouldn't really be the one to ask. I would pitch that question back to you and say, I
don't think the police get involved with mailbox incidences, but I do think your insurance, especially that sweet girl this morning, just because she definitely was in high school. So I'm sure her insurance is going to go up.
Yikes. Okay. Well, lots of fun surprises. Driving through neighborhoods, seeing mailboxes. So last week we had a just amazing opportunity to sit and talk with Suzanne Manning from Crazy Cool Family. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that, you can go back and see last week's episode or listen to last week's episode. But we really got to spend a little bit of time talking about the empty nest season, which we've all, entered into or do kind of that back and forth. Like, we have one who will still be home, summers and Christmases and stuff. But, in general, when you say empty nest, kids in college, we're all kind of there. And so want to just kind of go back to that a little bit and talk about just surprises that were waiting for us when we got into this season, unknown things, like great things, or maybe, things that kind of tripped us up a little bit of entering into that empty nest season. Because we know so many people are, looking at that just right around the corner, or they're fully in it. And there's some really fun things, but there can also be some things that kind of are like, okay, I need a second to, readjust or, kind of get my mind right on how different life can be.
Yeah.
So I was curious if there's anything for you guys that were just fun surprises or scary surprises or, surprises.
Yeah, I don't know that anything's been scary for us necessarily. I think we were pretty ready for empty nest life only because when our son left, both our kids went to Baylor. We're at Baylor all the time for sporting events and stuff. So when he left, I think we saw that we actually are in a different situation than a lot of parents face when their kid goes off to college, because a lot of kids leave and the parents don't see them again for weeks or months, right? They're not coming home, maybe they're not close enough, or the parents don't go to the school for any type of events. We realized that we actually were down there, so much that we were seeing Connor every other weekend or so. And it's not that we were seeing him for long periods of time, but just laying eyes on him, getting to have a meal with him or whatever. So I think when our daughter left, we knew this is going to be good. Yeah. Like we're still going to get to see her a lot. It doesn't really make it less painful to let your kids go. There's still definitely the angst of like, are they going to be okay? Did I remember to tell them all the things in the last 3 months? Because I do remember that race of like, thinking, oh gosh, they're leaving in 3 months. Did I tell them this? Did I tell them this? I got to teach them this. There's all those things that you feel like you're responsible for. And so there definitely was still that issue, but I think just laying eyes on them made that a little easier. So when our daughter left, we were excited to have an empty nest. Now, Suzanne talked about last week how her kids were super wise to like send a baby home with her. Yes. When Catherine left, we didn't have that. We didn't have a baby in our family yet. And Jeff was traveling a lot more at that time. So we dropped her off. We came home for a weekend and then he left like Monday through Friday. He was gone.
Oh, wow.
And I remember like Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night thinking, uh-oh, this is really bad. My days were busy and I was fine. But then my nights, I was like, oh goodness, I'm really lonely. However, I think it was about Thursday night after 4 nights in a row of eating a frozen turkey burger for dinner. I was like, oh, actually, this is really good. I'm just heating up a turkey burger and I'm super happy here just by myself, kind of vegging out. So for that part, I don't think we were surprised about. I think we have been a little surprised in that we probably in our heads thought our lives would be a lot slower than they are. I don't feel like our life has slowed down a ton. Yeah. I feel like if anything, it's actually gotten a little busier. We're involved in a lot more things that are our own things versus our kids' things. Sure. So I think that's kind of the difference, right? Things have switched where our activities are us, but we still have a lot of them. So I think that's been a surprise. I think, too, the other thing that's been a little surprising for me here in the last year, and I shared a little bit with you, is that, I run a food blog and I used to cook. It's not that I cooked extravagant meals every day, but I did cook every day. Yeah. And I feel like over the last year, my cooking it's not that it's slowed down. We still eat meals every night, but I'm doing a lot more meal prepping. So I'm not cooking a ton during the week, which is a very different situation than what I faced, the last 30 years. So Anyway, I'm enjoying that though.
Yeah.
I think our meals have gotten a lot more simple,
Mm-hmm.
and but we're okay with it. So I really do like that part.
That's
I would think that those are kind of the surprises of it all, is just being a little busier
Yeah.
than I had expected.
Yeah. I would agree with that for us. And I think, I mean, it depends on your mindset. I think overall, like culturally, I think we have a little bit of a mind shift from what we thought, middle age moving into the second season
Yeah.
of life, of what the ideal looked like maybe for our grandparents but I do think that has shifted in some ways in a very good way, because I think it lines up with the truth of who God is and the fact that he has purpose for our lives. And so we still have purpose. Just
Mm-hmm.
because our kids are gone doesn't mean that now it's we're going to veg out for the next few several decades. and
Right.
and so I think that can be true for a lot of people, because we've experienced the same thing. Um I'm in grad school now, and it does feel like life is very full, which is great. I think the our oldest, so when Caleb graduated from high school, he went into a 1 year college program that our church offers. It's called VC College now. At the time, it was called Valley Creek Leadership Academy, and so he didn't go away somewhere. He stayed here to do that. He felt a calling to ministry, and so we didn't have to like send him in that season.
Sure.
And so then, but what did happen was, a couple of years after that, he moved in. He got a roommate, and so he moved in. And I do remember that day of just him being the first one. And it's so silly because I mean we go to the same church, like we literally see him every week. But that first morning that he wasn't there, oh my gosh, I was surprised at just the awareness of like he's not here.
Mm.
And then Paul, my husband, he had a thing that morning with just the coffee maker, and Caleb kind of had this routine with how he'd make his coffee, and he would let it sit there for a minute and like cool off. And so when Paul got up to make his coffee and Caleb's like cup wasn't there,
Oh,
I like, oh my gosh. And so we both just kind of had a moment, I think, just to being the first. And even though again he didn't leave the zip code,
mm-hmm.
but just moved out. And then our middle girl Riley, she was the hardest because she's at the University of Michigan,
Yeah.
and so that was a lot harder. And it was a lot harder leading up to it, because you just it felt more like the first one going, 'cause she
Sure.
was going so far.
And I would assume because she plays college sports, she probably had to be there earlier in the
Um,
summer, or did she
it
not?
wasn't, I don't remember it being drastically early. And we went for a football game that fall. My husband's from Michigan, so his dad is up there. And so, I mean, but still, it was just, there was a lot of emotion just leading up to it.
Sure.
And then the fact that's, she was going so far away. And then, Remy, thankfully, she's at OU. And so she's about 2 hours away. And so that one was super emotional her senior year, just because, I mean, just like with both the girls, it's just more emotional. And it was very emotional that day. But then we quickly were up there because it's only 2 hours and 20 minutes. And so that one immediately got easier because it felt like she was so close.
Mm-hmm.
And so every one of them was like so different. And so with the last one though, our journey, we were blended, when I met Paul, the kids were, around 8, 10, 11, 12. And so we never did a season where it was just us. And
Sure.
so we always knew, we're jumping in mid game. And so, it's going to be a different journey. And so that made it easier to transition, because there wasn't this 20-30 year period where it's like, now, okay, who are you? I mean, it was 10 years. And I think we planned for it well. And I think the surprises would just be the same, of that we definitely have been busier, and we've embraced that. We talked about that last time, of we've just kind of been super spontaneous and saying yes to this and saying yes to that. But then still finding time to do the things that matter. And we have gotten a little bit more involved with stuff at church. And so I would say that's a surprise for me too, of just that, yeah, we're busy doing stuff, which is, and I hesitate, the word busy sometimes can have a
I
negative
know. Yeah.
connotation. And so it's not busy in a negative way, but it's full.
Yeah.
I would say the Lord had just fullness still waiting for us. And as we were talking about it earlier, it made me think of the verse in Ephesians 2:10 that some of us might be familiar with, that for we're God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. And that verse came to mind because it can, I went through it probably when Remy started driving. And so going into her junior year, her sister was gone. It was just her. So there just became this awareness of like, my role is greatly diminishing. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not going to be driving anyone anywhere. Yeah. It's all just becoming very different. And I felt like that was the Lord's invitation to kind of start asking the question of, okay, what's next? Like what's coming in this next season,
right,
for me specifically, and started dreaming and having that conversation, which now, fast forward, 2, 3, 4 years, there is this rich, full life. And I think that's the biggest thing for wanting women to know that are in midlife or they're in any kind of a transition, like look to the Lord, like to go to him to start that conversation about, and bring some excitement. Like, yes, there's grieving and mourning and it's a change, but because he's God and because he's good and because he has good works for us to do, it's like, okay, kind of like excitement, pen and paper, like, okay, let's dream. Mm-hmm. That's what I love so much of seeing women our age take this season and take it as an opportunity to like sit and dream with God. Like, God, like what could this season be?
Yeah. I think, in this stage that we're at, looking back, I can now see this pattern with the people around me, is that as those last kids began to become more independent, definitely driving, where the mom doesn't feel so needed. Yeah. There is this little bit of mourning. I was just talking to a friend who has 3 kids, and her last one just started driving. And I asked, and that last one is busy, man. She's competitive cheer. She's cheer at school. She's in all these organizations. And I asked my friend, I was like, are you excited that you're not having to drive her around? And she said, yes, but I miss her because the car is where a lot of those conversations happen. And it triggered in my head, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. But also I feel like that a lot of women who maybe stayed home with their kids or worked part-time or even just had a job that was a job and not a career type of thing, they begin to reach this, like, what am I going to do? And I feel like that's just so normal for us to be asking, like, what's my purpose? Yeah. And I think too, that verse points us back to, like, we are his workmanship, right? And so what you're saying is like dreaming with God about what that could look like. Yeah. I think too many women think, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? Like, I gotta fulfill something.
Yes.
Without taking a step back and just saying, hey, God, where do you want me?
Yeah.
What can I do? And where could my skills and talents be of use for your kingdom, right? And it doesn't even, what's crazy is that it doesn't need to be a ministry job. It doesn't need to be even a job that, or whatever, a volunteer position, whatever it is that you feel like the Lord's leading to you to. It doesn't have to be something that is necessarily Christian, to be his purpose, right? And so I think it's just this like fine line of women realizing, like, I can have a dream with God and he can take me wherever he wants me and use me for his kingdom in anything he puts me in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you said that, of just, because I know that temptation of like, okay, what's my purpose? And like, I want to dream and have we're going to build out the next, 5, 10 years. And, everybody's experience is different, but I love that you said that, because mine really started with, first just that realization of, okay, my time and everything is starting to look very different, and praying through that. And my first step, I felt like, recognizing I had all this time, like during the day, during the week, because I wasn't working in that season. And so I really felt like my first step, the Lord led me just to have a conversation with someone at our church about, okay, what are some opportunities that I could come up here and just help out during the day, during the week? It was just kind of it wasn't like that he gave me this 10-year plan, but I just felt like that was a step I could take just to start doing something, to your point. And so what's so interesting about that is, that was, I guess, 4 years ago, so I did do that. I started doing some stuff during the day, during the week, up at the church, and just started, I don't know, just doing more and more stuff there, and eventually kind of led to different conversations. And that's when I ended up transitioning into actually working there for a couple of years with the college that I mentioned previously. And while I was there on staff is when the whole like dreaming and looking at the idea of doing some graduate school. And I wasn't thinking about that at all. And it wasn't like, God said, we're going to go do graduate school. It was just like, see about, serving at the church. And so now, fast forward to where that season ended last year of working full time. And now I'm doing school full time.
Right.
And so we've talked about this recently at church, even of how God doesn't give us that whole big picture.
Right.
Because I think I would have been a little overwhelmed at the idea of, school and all the reading and all the books, and being on staff at the church again kind of reminded me about how good it feels to work hard and what a good like full day's work feels like. Because I was very much out of that.
Sure.
I had taken care of my dad, the last kind of few years of his life. And then we had COVID. And so there just kind of hadn't been anything. And so just to even retrain, even my body, oh my gosh. Okay. I wouldn't have said I was oldish at the time, but when I went back to work full time, those first couple of weeks,
you were exhausted.
I would come home and my husband, he would just laugh because that first week I could go to bed at like 7:00.
Yeah.
Like I was wiped out.
Yeah.
And so I think it comes back to just trusting, okay, God, you have a plan, and I'm just going to take this step. This step doesn't mean it's something for the next 20, 30 years,
right.
but I'm just going to take a step.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's great. And, it just goes to show that you were just in tune to God saying, hey, just ask a person about how you can serve at the church during the day. Yeah. And you weren't even thinking job, career down the line. You were just like, okay, that's the next thing God told me to do. Okay. And, I think it's so important too. Like if God tells you to do something, do it. It might not make sense at all, right? Yes. And so just do it and see what happens. And I mean, the number of times that God's told me to do something that I argue with the Lord a lot. I know that's probably surprising to you, but I'm a little combative. And so I've had conversations with God where he'll tell me to do something and I'll say, no, thank you. I'm not, that's not in my plan.
Right.
But he's so kind to just constantly like, no, do that thing. And eventually I yield. I don't know what that says about me. I'm getting better about doing things when he says to do them, I think. But eventually I yield. And it's because my heart is towards him.
Sure.
I really want to be focused on him. And but I sometimes get in my own head about my plan for the day, my journey for the day, the way I think the story should be written. And yet if I'll just step back and say like, okay, what's the next step? What do you want me to do next? And then do that next thing, whether it makes sense or not.
Yes. And I think, I mean, we can all say like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you would ever tell God no. But it's not a Kara thing.
If they knew me, they would believe it.
Right. But it is a Kara thing, but it's also a Sarah thing. And it's a everybody thing. Because it depends on the thing. Yeah. But because there's some things that he could ask me to do that I'd be like, oh yeah, of course. And you'd be like, no. And then he could ask you to do something where you're like, yes, absolutely. And I'd be like, how about no? Yeah. And so we all have our areas where it's harder to just move forward by faith. I feel like the Lord's always just trying to remind me about trusting in him with our finances. And I feel like I've learned that, but then in his kindness, he wants to every once in a while help make sure, like, are we really sure? And I'm like, yes, we're really sure. And then we get to it and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, and so that's his goodness and his kindness to always want to be refining us. Mm-hmm. And it's not always like awesome. Like it's hard and it's challenging, mm-hmm. and there's real struggle in it. But I think what you said of like that your heart is for him, because I mean, I can be the same way. And where I just want to wrestle and I want to just, be emotional, but it's the trajectory of my life. Like if you think about, those, like if you see a financial chart or
Yeah.
anything that's measuring something where it's
Right.
like it's up and then it's down and
Yeah.
it's up and then it's down. But long term, the trajectory is
Right.
moving
Right.
up.
Right.
And so I just feel like I always have peace when I think about, okay, yes, in my walk with Jesus, like I have these up moments and then man, I can still hit the bottom.
On that hard. Yeah.
And I hate it when I do, but I do always come back up. And I do feel like if I look at the trajectory, and I know this is true for you too, just because I know you, that the trajectory is it's moving up and, to the left.
Yeah.
That's what people say. And so
Up and to the right.
up and to the right, whatever.
You don't want to move left.
Yeah, I'm doing it backwards. Go watch on YouTube. You'll have a good laugh. And so I think we have to have grace. I know I have to have grace because it's hard for me sometimes to quickly come back to him because I hate that I struggled as hard as I did.
Yeah.
And I hate that, like, I had the moment that I had, or, the pity party, or that,
Yeah.
you sound like you might be polite when you tell him no. And sometimes I feel like in my, my anger or my emotion, I lose my politeness. And so, but I do know, and that's part of why relationships like this are so important,
Right.
that we have godly friendships,
Yeah.
that I have my husband, because I have enough people and anchor points in my life that y'all aren't going to let me, even if I decided I was going to just stay down there longer than I should. I've got people like, you're going to be like, actually, like I gave you a minute and now it's time. Like, and so that's why relationships can be, just so crucial.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I actually just had a conversation with the Lord last night about just an area that's been a struggle for me to trust him recently, and why I'm so fickle, and I had to confess and repent to him, and just say, like, I'm so sorry that my initial response is not you. And it frustrates me. It's gotta frustrate him, but I also think that I think of him as just such a loving parent of like, he's just like, it's okay. Like, just come back. Just come back. Yeah. Come back again. Come back again. Doesn't matter how many times you have to come back.
Right.
And the Bible talks about, I think it's in Proverbs, about a righteous man falling 7 times and he gets back up, right? And that's what we have to think about. We don't have to think about the fall as being like, oh no, I committed this terrible sin and my life is over. It's just about the moment we choose to trust the circumstances we can see over God. And it's a struggle for sure. And so just like that repentance with him, last night of like, okay, God, just help me, because I want to choose you more than I want to choose what I feel is comfortable in life. Yeah. But darn, if I don't just seem to like grab hold of what I can see versus what I can't see. And it's hard. It's very hard. Yeah. So I just think that, when we can live from that place of love, there's just such a freedom. Yeah. And it's interesting because there's times throughout my Christian walk that I can see, like, man, I was living loved. Like, I could take any news in stride and just be like, it's fine. God's got it. And then there's times where I'm just like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my head and my heart? And why can I not get this together? But it's not me. It's not on me, right? I mean, yes, I have to make the choice to yield. I have to make the choice to choose him. But then in doing that, there is just so much freedom, because the minute I remember to choose him first, everything just falls in line. And everything, it's not that it makes sense. It's not that it's perfect. It's that it falls in line and I don't feel the weight of it the way that I felt the weight of it when I chose what the world showed me.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Real.
It's real for sure.
I love it. So good. So I know the verse I read a second ago, Ephesians 2:10. I read it in the NIV, but I also want to read it in the Amplified, because I love the Amplified version because they use all the words.
Oh yeah.
And I also love all the words.
You do love all the words.
Love all the words.
So funny.
But I love this version just because it paints a little bit more of the picture, and something that we kind of just touched on. But it says, "For we are his workmanship, his own master work, a work of art, created in Christ Jesus, reborn from above, spiritually transformed, renewed, ready to be used for good works, which God prepared for us beforehand, taking paths which he set, so that we would walk in them, living the good life which he prearranged and made ready for us. So that's
Wow.
Ephesians 2:10 in the Amplified. And so,
Wow.
I mean, that's a verse you can just sit with for a long, long time. But I think the biggest reminder for me right now in that verse is all of the work that is him. So,
Yeah.
his workmanship, his own masterwork, a work of art, spiritually transformed for the good works which he prepared beforehand, taking a path which he set, and then living the good life which he prearranged.
Right.
And so it's just like, okay, how many times can he paint the picture of like, I have got all of it, like I've got it. I know you can't see it, and he knows that takes faith, and that we're having to trust him.
Right.
But it's just that reminder of like, I promise you, like, what I'm asking you is good. I promise you I've gone before you. I've got the path. Like, I know you
Yeah.
can't see it, but I can see it, and I did think about it, and I'm good. And I sometimes we can just wrestle with that of like, Lord, I right now I'm questioning, like, I know that you're good, but if I'm being honest, like, right now I'm having a hard time because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so grateful. There's certain passages in scripture that I'm just like, thank you. And the one in the New Testament of the Father, who said, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief.
Yeah.
Thank you that is in scripture,
Right.
because that's so my heart sometimes of like, Lord, I believe, but gosh, also I'm struggling with not believing.
Yeah.
Like, Lord, I believe you're good, but also I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
also, like, and being able to say that and acknowledge that and know that's he wants us to confess that, because that's when it can start.
Yeah.
That's when the path forward begins, is when we meet him where we're at. It's one of the things I tell people all the time and try to remember to tell myself is, if I'm asking, Lord, I want to, but that doesn't even feel completely accurate, that, okay, Lord, I want to.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even say I want to do this, but
Yeah.
I do want to.
Right. Yeah.
And that if that's where I start, then that's where he's coming, and
Yeah.
we're going to start in that place. And so just remembering in this verse, like, when you think about whatever is before us, the next season, the next, the next day, the next week, the next 10 years, that this verse does not expire when the last kid leaves the
Right.
house. Like,
Right.
okay, well, there goes my purpose.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, yeah, that was part of your purpose for a season. But man, what does he have next? And what has he been prearranging and making ready just for you that you couldn't have done in
Yeah.
your 20s or 30s?
Right.
That you only can do now because of everything you've walked through and experienced.
Right.
Like that's exciting. That does get exciting. But the path does have little dips and little, valleys and refining.
Refining.
I
Yeah.
think refining is like a pretty way of saying painful fire to make me better.
That's very
We
true.
say refining,
Because
and we
refining
think
is
of
fire.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I think too, like this verse, it talks about us being his workmanship. I think so often we think as humans, okay, my purpose, my purpose, my purpose, my purpose is also to make me feel good about the things that I'm doing. Yes, my things may be helping someone, but they're about me. When in reality, they actually are about you. If we go back and look at Romans, it talks about who he foreknew, he also predestined to become the image of his son. Like, yes, they're about you becoming like Jesus. They're not about you fulfilling your own will and what you want to do and how you want it to be done. But not only that, they're for the good of other people, for his glory, right?
yeah,
And so I just think like we have to think like our purpose and the things that the next step God's asking us to take may not be what we think is our purpose. It may be just because, number one, he's asking you to do something and needs you to yield so you can become more like Christ. And number two, it may be for that other person, right? And I just have like this silly little example of something that happened to me years ago that kind of follows that path. Is at our church years and years ago, I wanted to do Thanksgiving baskets, and There was not a program at our church. I was like, I want to do Thanksgiving baskets. I had done it at the church we'd been at before. And I went to actually what is now our current pastor. His role at the time, somebody sent me to him. They were like, go talk to him. And so I went and I presented it to him. He's like, great, go do it. And I was like, what? And so anyway, long story short, all these like small groups at the time was what we called small groups, started putting together baskets, bringing food, doing things, bringing gift cards. And so it was the day we had gone out to deliver them. And I had these addresses. I think I had 3 or 4 baskets. I had these addresses of these people that I was supposed to deliver these baskets to. Mm-hmm. I go to this apartment complex, and the person I was supposed to deliver it to, I parked, and if like I was sitting in my car, I could see the face of the doors. Okay. So there's like 4 doors, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second floor, and I'm supposed to deliver to the second floor apartment. And so I carry the basket up there. I walk up there, I knock on the door. No answer. And so I wait a minute. I can hear noise inside and I can hear talking. So I like knock again. I'm like, well, they're home. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe it's like kids and they were told not to answer the door or whatever. So I go back down to my car and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this basket here? And the door, just below the door I had knocked on, a lady with a little boy comes out. And my first thought was like, let me see if she knows her neighbors, because maybe I can give it to her and she could give it to them. And so I'm sitting in the car and I'm sort of just watching her, and she comes out and she puts her child in the car and she goes back to her door. I don't know if she's locking her door or what she's doing. When she turns around, I realize there's something a little bit wrong with her face. Mm-hmm. And I so clearly heard the Lord say, get out of the car and ask her if she, because I had all these extra gift cards that didn't go in baskets. Get out of the car and ask her if she needs some gift cards. And I heard it so clearly that I thought it was audible. And I looked at the seat next to me and I said, no, I am not doing that. I will look like such a fool if I just ask this woman if she wants some gift cards. And not only that, God, but that could be an insult to her, as if I think she can't provide for her own family or whatever. And he said, you need to get out of the car and ask her if she wants gift cards. And I literally sat there and wrestled and wrestled and wrestled. I saw her getting in her car and I was like, I'm about to miss it. And so I get out of the car and I walk up to her and I don't say, hey, do you need gift cards? I say, hey, do you know your neighbors upstairs? I'm still trying to avoid God's direction. And she's like, no, I don't know who they are. And I'm like, well, I have this basket for them. I was trying to deliver. I knocked. No one answered. She's kind of like, I'm sorry, I don't know them.
Right.
And so I just said, hey, I'm from this church. I have all these extra gift cards. Could you use these? And she just started crying. And she said, I had a stroke 3 months ago. And I'm taking my little boy to the drugstore just to walk around to get out of the house because we don't go anywhere. I can't work right now. He's not in daycare. We're just trying to get out of the house right now just to go walk around. And she's like, I literally sat at my kitchen table this morning and prayed and told God if he didn't send me an answer in the next couple of days, that I was going to end my life because I can't keep living like this. And I was like, oh my word, Lord. And I just argued with you. And all you wanted was to give this lady gift cards so she would know that you saw her.
Wow.
Like I just happened to be the instrument that had the gift cards, right? That wasn't for me, except for me to become like Christ.
Yeah.
And for her to know that God saw her, right?
Wow.
It wasn't like that's my, I don't run around just like, okay, I've got gift cards today, or, like that's not still my purpose. I'm not driving around town looking to hand out gift cards, right?
Right.
It was just in that moment, that's what God needed for me to give up my pride and to realize it doesn't matter if I look foolish. If he told me to do something, to do it. And for me to realize that sometimes he just needs us to step in
to be his hands and feet,
so someone else sees and him and knows that he loves them and he sees them in their circumstance.
It's such an incredible reminder. Of that. Yeah, it could be that the purpose he has for me to go do today doesn't have anything to do with me,
right?
But that just we're supposed to be his hands and feet. So he might need a hand over here in this. Like that's just. Such an incredible reminder. And I think if that can even begin to be our mindset shift of, and yes, there's a big, it's like we have this daily just purpose because we're believers and we're part of the body. And then we have this, uniqueness because of the way that he gifted us and made us. And so I think we can sometimes build up too much this. Like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do that's going to be, have an audience, or that's going to just be because it's how I'm, and that is real. But that what you described, that's for all of us all day, every day.
Right.
To just be sensitive to his voice, to his spirit, to just even ask him, okay, Lord, I'm about to go run errands for a few hours.
Yeah.
If there's somebody I can pray for or just see. And so I think that it just simplifies, and it takes all of the just the overwhelmingness of like, just invite him into your day. Like, that's, you have purpose today. Invite him in, ask for, just ears to hear, a heart to be sensitive, the humility to just say yes, the boldness to just go for it.
Scared. Go
Scared.
for it.
Go for it. Scared.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that you could have an experience like that
Yeah.
of like just God using you to answer someone's prayer. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
Well, and that was a season in my life where I feel like I was living loved, where I was constantly just asking the Lord every day, use me, use me, use me. I had no idea what I meant by use me.
right.
I probably had some like dreams that this was going to be like a big thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know that woman to this day. Like,
It's a big thing for her and her son.
it was huge for her, and so, but it's like I was praying just constantly, use me, use me. And that was a season in my life where I felt like every time I turned around, a stranger was telling me their life story, and I was praying for them in the middle of the grocery store, whatever. And so I think it's just, we can't live that kind of life where we experience God on that level if we're not constantly in his presence.
Sure.
And we're not constantly living in the relationship he's given us with him. And so it's like, if you really want to know your purpose, you have to start with your identity and relationship in him, right? And so it's like, sit and spend time with him every day and, ask him, where can you use me today?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing together today?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So great. There's just so many great pieces of that we can just begin to walk out, and just know that whatever the season, we've got purpose. So oldish purpose.
Oldish purpose for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So whatever season you're in, our listeners right now, there's definitely still purpose for you. As long as you're breathing and wake up every day, there's purpose.
Yes. If you woke up today, he prearranged that day and made it ready for you.
Yeah. And I think too, it's not like I wake up today and I've got to know my purpose. I wake up today and I ask God, what's my next step?
Yeah.
Because that first next step is what carries you into the purpose he has for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I don't have to wake up and know my step, but just wake up and know him.
Exactly. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's awesome.
I can't drop this mic, though.
Don't drop the mic. Don't drop the mic.
Okay. So amazing. So as we look to October, which I always hit this time of year and just not panic, but just I'm kind of bewildered that we're heading into like October.
Doesn't it feel like it was January 1st yesterday?
It really, really, really does.
Doesn't it feel like yesterday we were just like, hey, we should start a podcast?
We'd be great on a podcast.
And just, for the people watching too, man, fall in Texas is a struggle. I mean, I'm still in sandals and I'm trying to dress a little more fall-like.
Yeah.
But it's so hard because it's still so hot.
Yes. And my oldish brain just forgets this pattern every year because we get a little touch of like, oh, it's cooler.
Yes.
Like 80s. Yep. And so then I can use this word against myself. I stupidly, we don't like that word, but I'm just talking about me, think like, oh, like maybe
pull out all the sweaters.
Maybe it's the sweltering heat is over, but it just doesn't.
It'll still be sweltering in December.
No, it just still does this like back and forth and it's cool. And so it just, I have to, honestly, I feel like I have to check my heart because I can end up being so angry when it gets so hot again, and it's so dumb.
I know.
But
I feel like too in the fall when we have a couple of cool days, then it gets hot again. It feels hotter than it did midsummer.
I
and
completely
in the spring,
agree.
When we have a couple of warm days and then it gets cold again, it feels colder than it did midwinter.
Yes,
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I need somebody smarter than me to give you a definitive answer on that.
All I know is I'd like to live in Cabo for winter, but that's okay. That's not happening.
No, I actually, we talked about this. Like, I'm fine with 3 months of Texas cold. I want it to just be here and stay here.
Yes.
I don't want to do 70, 90, 80, 90.
Yes.
I need to no. I can't handle it. And so we layer and we transition slowly, and we save the sweaters for probably January or February if we're being honest.
Right.
But for October, we have kind of spent some time thinking about, okay, if we want to kind of not like a hard and fast like theme, but of just a general kind of overarching view of what we want to get into in October.
Yeah.
So
we did an Instagram poll, and one of the things that we heard resounding from people was they wanted us to talk about how to really keep your faith focused on God during hard seasons.
Yep.
And so I think we're going to spend October doing that.
Yep.
We're going to have a guest on who has an amazing story that she's walked through a lot of hard things, and God's really shown up for her, and she's an amazing lady. Y'all will love her. So yeah, that's what we're going to do in October.
it's going to be good.
It's going to be
We're
fun.
excited. Yeah, we know God's got a lot of good things, and we can't wait. And some great fun things along the way. It's still going to be fun. No tears fell today. There
Almost.
were definitely tears.
We have
present.
got to get a Kleenex box.
I know. We keep saying that, and
We
it still
keep
hasn't
forgetting.
happened. They almost fell, but they did not. And so,
And when I start to cry, I mean, you cry kind of easy.
yes.
Crying, it's a little slower of a process
Yes.
for me. If I start to cry, it's a thing.
really
but
something's
the
happening.
things that make me cry are my people and God. Those are the things that undo me.
Yeah.
If something's wrong with my people, whether it's my family or my friends, or you know, when God reaches in and
Yes. God and my people make me cry too.
yeah.
And commercials and old people and a song on the radio, or just, I don't know, tears in your eyes. I just have a biological reaction.
You're so, is that empathy? Empathetic
Yes,
towards,
yes.
my daughter's that way too.
Yes.
And it's good that I have people like that in my life.
Good balance. Okay, so how are you going to go enjoy the life that God gave you this week?
So I'm super excited that I get to go visit some family in Georgia this weekend. I have a cousin that's having a baby, and so haven't been to Georgia to see this part of my family in a couple of years. A couple of them have come here. My mom's gone there, but my mom and I are going together, so it's going to be fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What are you going to do to enjoy the life God gave
So
you?
I
Is going to give you this weekend?
Yes. So I actually, so we all know I'm currently in graduate school. Next year is my last year. And so primarily what I'm doing next year is what they call practicum and internship.
Okay.
So I will actually be at a counseling office where I'll be shadowing counselors for most of the year, and then eventually kind of transition to where I'll actually be talking to clients with a supervisor, with me. So it's just like the whole kind of last part of the program. And so, but it's quite a bit of a process to find the places that take graduate students.
Okay.
And then there's an interview process. And so it's really been like my top prayer the last few weeks and months, because it's kind of been slim pickings. Like, I want to find a faith-based place.
Sure.
Because that just really matters to just the style of counseling that I want to do. And so all that to say, I have an interview tomorrow, my first interview at a place that I'm really hoping is going to be where I end up doing my practicum and internship. So I'm really excited just to go and kind of, it feels like, taking a step into this next chapter of this whole process. And so I'm super just excited to go meet them and talk to them and figure out all the things.
That's awesome. I know you wanted a place within a certain radius from home. Is this place fit your...
It does.
Okay,
yes,
good.
It
Good.
does. Yes.
That's awesome.
I know. So
That's amazing. Okay.
TBD.
Yeah. Oh, that's youngish. Acronyms.
We try, Kira.
Yeah.
We try.
There was another thing that my daughter taught me this weekend about dipping out.
Yeah, so we're about to dip.
We're
right
about
now.
to dip.
And we might go eat and dip as well.
We should definitely dip some
We're gonna
food.
dip so we can...
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, everybody, go enjoy the life God has given you. Until next time. Bye. Thanks so much for spending time with us today on That's Why We're Friends.
We hope you laughed, felt encouraged, and are walking away with a little more hope for your day.
If you love this episode, make sure to follow the podcast so you never miss what's next.
and share it with a friend who needs a little encouragement, because that's why we're friends.
Some products or services we mention may be paid promotions. Any advice shared should be confirmed with a qualified professional. Our conversations and opinions are meant for encouragement and entertainment only.